So I'm a massive anime geek and I am constantly obsessed with the bokeh and all the sparkles and everything that they put around, like when they have a single shot of someone reacting to something like emotionally and then they get rid of all the background and then it's just a colourful flurry of glitter and sparkles, and that's like my favourite thing. And I wanted to be able to do something similar to that in my art, so I wanted to know how to make a bokeh, or it's technically pronounced bokeh, but you know, I say bokeh. I wanted to know how to make my own in my Procreate app. Now I played around with this the other day and I got some really good results, so I'm going to switch to my iPad and show you exactly what I did. I've got a few examples of what I ended up making. So this one I quite like because I did like a neon pen, and then you can see the little sparkles that I've got tracing it around there. And then I also have, I made some brushes in the past. I had like a 5-point star brush, and then I made this thing that I call a twinkle. This has got all 4 of them, so I call this one starry, and then here, you sort of rounded one, you've got twinkles, and then the really narrow thin ones here, I call them flares, and then this new one, I called it a sparkle. So that's how I refer to them. I've got a few like messier designs that I've got here. When I was just enjoying it. Go into my stack here, I've got all my different brush variants, and these are the original shapes I made, and then I've also got the bokeh ones I made. Create a new canvas. I always end up doing these on the square ones because it's just easier to get the aspect ratios right. I'm gonna do a diamond brush. So first we have to make the diamond shape. So we've got the drawing guide, we're gonna go edit the drawing guide, symmetry, we're gonna turn on our options. So I want a quadrant one, I believe, and assisted drawing and rotation symmetry is turned on. Okay, so rotation symmetry means that it does it on every single section, it's the same. Get a black pen and we're going to do monoline because it's the cleanest line, and we're on full opacity, and let's guess the size. Okay, great. I always struggle with making it exactly symmetrical. We want a straight line. That's not a straight line at all, but you know, straight line, and make it so it lines up everywhere. Going to turn off the assisted drawing and rotational symmetry, and then we're going to turn off the drawing guide, and that's our shape. It's not exactly perfect, but it's negligible enough that we're able to see. Freeform stretch it, so make it a bit longer. And that looks similar enough to me. I'm gonna fill the shape in, fit to canvas so it's as big as possible. And that is our individual one. Select and duplicate the canvas. So we've got a duplicated canvas. I'm gonna shrink it so we can see everything. And we're gonna take our layer and duplicate. I'm gonna get a slightly dark grey layer. I'm gonna drag it in. And then we're gonna shrink it a little bit. And centralize it. Duplicate, and then we make a slightly brighter grey. Bring that in, and then shrink it again. Centralize it again. And then we get a white one. Pure white. Duplicate again. Fill. And shrink again. And the reason we're doing this is because you want your brush to have the color that you select it when you're actually using the brush. And what it means in this context is black is more solid, more visible, and white is less solid, less visible. Because of how brushes work, we're going to turn off the background so we don't have anything there, and then we're actually going to invert these colors. You could start off by just having the colors the opposite way, but this helps me. And then we're going to group these all together. Select the group, don't select the layer. Shrink it all a bit because we're going to start blurring this in a second, so we need to give it margin to blur without going off the page. Go into our individual layers and we go Gaussian blur, and then you can blur it as much as you want really, but that's a you preference thing. Blur again. Then the next layer. Blur again. And then the final layer, some people don't blur it, but because it's going to be bokeh, I like to blur it just like a little bit so it's not a harsh line. It's like 2. So it's just a little fuzzy. And then we get the whole group. Close it. and duplicate it, and we're gonna move this one over here into the corner, and then we get the second group. I'm gonna flatten it so we can move all as one unit and apply one effect to it. I'm gonna keep it in the center so it doesn't go, and then we're gonna blur this one a lot more. Like there. And then we're gonna move it and put that in the top corner. Weirdly, it's in add. Don't know why it's in add, but you copy the whole canvas, go into your brushes, and everyone has the brush in the luminance section. Everyone has bokeh lights. So I'm gonna duplicate this, go in so we can edit it. Shape, here's your shape. This is where we want the white instead of the black. So edit the shape, import, and paste, and that is our brush. And all the other settings are good for me, but you can change them if you want, and then you have your diamond bokeh. And then remember to go down to about the brush and rename it diamond bokeh, just for fun. Gonna get a square one, and let's have a white background for now. Get our new diamond bokeh brushes, and we're gonna pick a color. And one of the preset things in the original bokeh brush, it changes the color slightly depending on what you end up choosing. So one thing I found really interesting, if I combine, it might work with the diamond one even better, but if I combine my starry, was it the starry one? Yeah. If I combine the starry bokeh as like a tree or something else, and then layer it a lot, and then shrink it down. Let me just be real quick about this. And this is going to be really, really basic. Da, 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 da. And then put that fill. That's brown. Brown, yeah. And then we make a tree. Got to connect it if we're going to fill it. And if we turn this layer on and put it over here, do a clipping mask, fill there. So let's get like a bright green, and let's make some smaller ones. Mix up the different types of brushes. So we've got some sparkle bokeh. Fill that. Then you can actually create a tree texture with the leaves. Let's get the diamonds, which is not inherently my art style, but I think it's cute. Add a layer, and then clipping mask, flare brush, and then you can add a texture to it. Got a little sky. Which is the worst drawing ever, but you see my point, though you can utilize tools differently. Normal bokeh, you would tend to get like the background as just a nice pretty light. So let's get the normal one, and you would create like a textured background like that, but they can be used in different ways. And if I make the background color a bit darker, there you go, it's like a night tree scene. And I promise I can draw better than that, but this was just quickly thrown together. So now you know how to make your own bokeh brushes. I would love if you link to some of your examples in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and have a good day.